COVID cases continue to fluctuate, and some experts are concerned for a potential fourth surge.
The trial for Derek Chauvin continues this week as more experts are scheduled to testify.
The crisis at the border continues to unfold as many migrants are turning themselves in, and many Texas leaders speak out.
Broadcasting live from the University of North Texas, this is ntTV News at Noon.
Thanks for joining us on ntTV News at Noon. I'm Jalen Jackson.
And I'm Lexi Flores.
Headlines across North Texas were centered around a recent kidnapping here in Denton.
And our live reporter Jessica Jalal is in downtown Denton with the story. Jessica?
Thanks, Lexi, and good afternoon, guys. We are live at Denton Square to talk about the 5 attempted kidnappings that have struck Denton and Corinth since Thursday. Denton County Police arrested 28-year-old Arik Bagby in Denton on Sunday, and earlier this morning had charged him with aggravated kidnapping. Bagby tried to force several women into his car over the course of several days. The first reported kidnapping attempt was on Thursday. The man had approached a woman sitting on her porch in the 100 block of Burl Street. He had told the woman to be quiet and to come with him, but the woman ran into her house where she called the police. Also on Saturday morning at about 11:30 a.m., a woman that was jogging near Oakmont and Park Palisades and a gray car pulled up next to her. The driver showed her a gun and told her to get in the car. She ran away as the man yelled and waved the gun. The woman found a house nearby and asked for help. That same Saturday, about 15 minutes later, a woman that was walking her dog in the 2000 block of Delmar Court reported that a man pulled up next to her, showed her a gun, and told her to get in the car. She got into the gray car but was able to escape a short distance later. In another attempt at 12:35 p.m. on Sunday at Lake Sharon between FM 2499 and Oakmont, a man tried to lure a woman into his car. There was also another attempt on Sunday, bringing the reported attempts to a total of 5. Denton police originally had pulled over the suspect after the car matched the description, and they had originally charged him with driving while intoxicated, then added the kidnapping charge this morning. Bagby is currently being held in Denton City Jail on a $500,000 bond. They are still investigating, but said he could face additional charges. Denton police also recommend traveling in groups and not getting into the car if somebody asks you to. Hopefully this is behind us now that the man is behind bars, but stay safe, and back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Jessica. Well, you know, Jalen, this time of the year is my favorite because it is finally starting to warm up.
Well, I actually want it to be cold again, but let's see what our weather expert Danielle Zachariah has to say. Danielle?
Thanks, Jalen. Well, you can expect some warmer weather later this week, but I'll get more onto that later in the show. Right now, we are currently experiencing sunny skies with a temperature of 64 degrees with a feels like 57 and a wind speed coming in from the south at 15 miles per hour. Then later tonight, those clear skies will turn a little bit more cloudy with a temperature of 61 degrees with a feels like 54 and a wind speed coming in from the south at 17 miles per hour. And tomorrow, you can expect mostly cloudy skies with a temperature of 81 degrees with a feels like 76 and a wind speed coming in from the south at 20 miles per hour. That's it for First Look. Back to y'all at the desk.
Thanks, Danielle. Since Thursday, over 6 million airline passengers were screened as holiday travel increased. On Sunday, close to 1.5 million people were screened by the TSA. That number is 10 times the number traveling on Easter last year. The surge was so significant that Delta Airlines was forced to fill its middle seats, something they said they wouldn't do until May 1st. The CDC is still recommended that individuals only travel if they're fully vaccinated.
Health experts are divided on whether or not a surge in COVID cases is on the horizon. CNN's Polo Sandoval has an update on the state of the pandemic.
We will see in the next 2 weeks the highest number of cases reported globally since the beginning of the pandemic.
The United States passing a huge milestone this weekend, averaging more than 3 million coronavirus shots in hours per day. But even as the country's vaccination efforts persist, some health experts worry the increase of COVID-19 variants puts the country on the cusp of a surge in cases.
There isn't a country in the world right now that is seeing a big increase in this B117 that is not locking down. We're the exception. Now, I understand the absolute resistance in this country even to consider that. And, it's kind of like trying to drink barbed wire. But the bottom line message is the virus is going to do what it's going to do, and we're going to have to respond somehow.
19 states have seen an increase in cases over the last week, including parts of the Northeast and Midwest. Cases are up 19% from 2 weeks ago, with young people making up a growing number of new cases. But health experts say that more vaccinations can keep a surge in check.
I don't think it's going to be a true fourth wave, but I think the Biden administration can allocate it to parts of the country that look hot right now. But if we could just get 2 or 3 more weeks of around 3 million vaccines a day, that's going to be a pretty big backstop against a true fourth surge.
Here in Michigan, cases have risen substantially over the past few weeks. On Saturday alone, the state reported more than 9,000 new infections. At an Easter church service in Detroit, Pastor Kenneth Flowers encouraging his congregation to get vaccinated.
You must have your faith, but you must also use the doctors. So get the vaccination. I've been letting people know that follow the science.
Shana Norfolk highlighting the importance of the pastor's message, particular to a black community that she described as having a history of apprehensions to vaccines.
I am concerned about that, but we have to keep hammering that vaccinations is our pathway out. I am very concerned for the children and the youth and the young adults because sometimes they think they're invincible. We want to continue to stress that the only way we're going to get out of this is the vaccine because we don't have a cure yet.
And in his Easter message to the nation, President Biden encouraging Americans to get vaccinated.
Getting vaccinated is a moral obligation, one that can save your life and the lives of others.
The U.S. reports that 165 million doses of the vaccine have been administered so far. And not long ago, many people were impatient to receive their COVID-19 vaccine. Now that is no longer the case. Last Monday, adults of any age qualified to receive their vaccine. However, the new issue centered around vaccines is getting people into the building. A few weeks ago, the wait list in Dallas was over 1.1 million, and on Saturday, the list was nearly 100,000 people. Dallas County Judge Clay Jenkins said there is still a large number of people to reach. Jenkins said there are still about 2/3 of the Dallas population that has not received their shots.
The trial of former officer Derek Chauvin begins. Reporter Daryl Forges has more on what to expect in the coming days.
In an emotional first week of testimony, shock.
I believe I witnessed a murder.
Regret.
If I would have just not taken the bill, this could have been avoided.
Grief.
He said, "Mama, they're killing me."
Pouring out in the courtroom as witnesses detailed what happened as Derek Chauvin knelt on George Floyd's neck for more than 9 minutes.
Told them, if he doesn't have a pulse, you need to start compressions, and that wasn't done either.
One member of law enforcement providing insight into Minneapolis police procedure in support of the prosecution's case against the former officer.
Putting your knee on the neck for that amount of time is just uncalled for.
The defense maintaining Chauvin was following his training.
That Derek Chauvin did exactly what he had been trained to do over the course of his 19-year career.
And arguing Floyd's death was due to pre-existing health conditions and drug use. For many, watching the death of George Floyd again through trial evidence is a traumatic experience.
Every time I find myself in tears. It is so emotionally draining.
For his family, a painful reminder, but also a lodestar for the racial justice movement.
My brother was the chosen one. We've been fighting for a long time, and the time is now. Our time is now.
In Minneapolis, I'm Daryl Forges.
When we return, we have a story on the continuous issues near the border.
And if you find yourself in Dallas this week, I'll tell you all about the great murals you can find on the side of one historic building.
When you park in front of the ramp, somebody can't make it up the ramp. When somebody can't make it up the ramp, they miss their class. When they miss their class, they fail their final. When they fail their final, they drop out of school. If you drop out of school, you get a face tattoo from a guy named Scorpion. Don't get a face tattoo from a guy named Scorpion. Be courteous. Don't block wheelchair ramps.
Hey, didn't see you there. Let's get started. This is a motor vehicle. This is the blinker mechanism. To use it, push it up for the right blinker and down to go left. You're welcome. It was easy.
It's that time of year where everyone plays a dangerous game with the flu. Going in uneducated, you run the risk of symptoms like cough, migraine, and fatigue. Don't be like this guy. Combat the flu with cough drops, ibuprofen, and a good night's sleep. Be smart, don't catch the flu.
One mayor in Texas is calling the surge in border crossings a dynamite box. CNN's Rosa Flores has more on how the U.S. is struggling with an influx in immigrants.
In the Rio Grande Valley of South Texas, where mostly migrant families and unaccompanied children are turning themselves into law enforcement, the border is fortified with a wall. In Laredo, arrests of mostly adults smuggled in tractor trailers are up 120% this year compared to last year. Apprehensions at stash houses are up 400% during the same time period. And there's no border wall.
You know, we're sitting on a box of dynamite, a powder keg. It could easily explode.
Laredo's mayor fears it could all spill over into violence.
President Trump was asking for a physical wall. President Biden now is asking for a virtual wall, but we haven't seen those resources yet.
We tagged along with U.S. Border Patrol Supervisor Ken Krupa to see the challenges for ourselves. At 2:45 p.m., he's on the scene of a dismantled stash house in the middle of a neighborhood.
Some occasions there's multiple locations on a single day.
One by one, 18 adults from Mexico and Guatemala were apprehended. The smuggler, who is usually linked to criminal networks or the cartels, was not in the house. As the evening settled in, Krupa is off to another active smuggling case, this one on the highway involving two vehicles.
So as you can see over here, this is one of the vehicles.
Allegedly smuggling at least 9 adults from Mexico, El Salvador, and Honduras. 4 were locked in the back of this SUV without a way out. The others.
As soon as the vehicle stopped, the subjects attempted to flee on foot.
But they didn't get away. Late into the night, the smuggling activity picked up by the river.
Right now we just had a group of 15 people that just crossed the river. They crossed over in this area and right now they're skirting the banks trying to avoid detection.
Hey, copy 940, 44.
As the radio traffic picks up, Krupa says Border Patrol agents in the area are trying to find and arrest up to 70 migrants. Is this usual?
Yes, ma'am. It's constant flow of traffic.
Despite the daunting cat and mouse game, some Laredo Border Patrol agents have been relocated to the Rio Grande Valley to help with the humanitarian crisis there.
What does that mean? It leaves us more vulnerable. It leaves the Laredo sector vulnerable.
Do you feed into the cartels by leaving this area with fewer resources?
We're not feeding into the cartel's strategy, but we do recognize that every decision we make has an impact. And so what we're going to try and do is ensure that as we start to see these threats flare up, that we move and transfer agents into the area to reinforce the already existing workforce.
Rosa Flores, CNN, Laredo, Texas.
As the situation near the border continues to unravel, many leaders have pointed the finger on who is to blame. However, Texas Representative Henry Cuellar recently expressed his satisfaction with how President Joe Biden has handled the crisis.
I always say, don't blame the men and women on the ground.
it's the policies. We disagree with the policies. Now under President Joe Biden, we know he's a very practical person. He's a good man. He's a good man and a good heart. And with him, we'll be able to address this. And I feel that we'll be able to address this. I just want to move a little quicker on it, but I think we'll be able to address these issues now.
Well, the weather has been great this morning, and I really hope it's here to stay.
You know, the weather conditions can be unpredictable around here, but let's see what Danielle has to say about upcoming weather conditions. Danielle?
Thanks, Jalen. That's right. We could expect a slight chance of rain later this week, but I'll get more into that in a bit. Right now, let's take a look across North Texas, where temperatures are mostly in the 60s, and as you can see here in Stephenville and Fort Worth, they're experiencing cooler temperatures at 58 and 59 degrees. Now let's take a look across the state, where the entire state is experiencing a wide range of temperatures. And as you can see in Amarillo and in Oklahoma City, they're both experiencing cooler temperatures at 59 degrees, and in Houston, it's a little warmer down there at 72 degrees. And now let's take a look at our 7-day forecast. While there might be some gloomy skies on Tuesday and Monday, you can expect sunny skies all in between, with a 20% chance of rain from Friday to Sunday, with temperatures ranging mostly in the highs ranging mostly in the 80s and lows ranging mostly in the 50s. That's all I have for weather today. Back to y'all at the desk.
Thanks, Danielle. There's a new sight to see in Dallas. An artist by the name of Tristan Eden is creating a new mural in Deep Ellum. Eden is painting a portrait of a black woman with a hat, which is a, quote, nod to the neighborhood being started by free slaves and his solidarity to the Black Lives Matter movement. This isn't Eden's first big project. He's worked with many big names such as the NFL, Nike, Versace, Barack Obama, and even Elon Musk. The mural is on the side of the Stack on Commerce Street. Go check it out.
The Texas Rangers are scheduled to play this afternoon, and they are making headlines outside of sports. Globe Life Field announced months ago that they were going to allow 100% attendance in their stadium. This comes almost 1 year since the ballpark finished the construction. The pandemic forced the Rangers to not allow fans into their brand new park, and now they're trying to give fans what they were hoping to experience before the pandemic. Despite full capacity, some of the changes fans expect are mask enforcement and a change in concessions as employees are trying to make sure lines don't get too long, thus enforcing social distancing. You know, Jalen, this time of the year is my favorite because it is starting to warm up.
Well, I actually want it to be cold again, but let's see what our weather expert, after the break, will tell you.
Hey, listen to my flow to save some H2O. This my water rhyme, and this is how it goes. First, turn off the sink and take some time to think. When you waste water Our supply shrinks. When you take a shower, not more than an hour. Shoot for 10 minutes and save water power. Use a reusable bottle, smart like Aristotle. Ditch all the plastic and be a role model. And that was my H2O flow. Please remember how it goes, because if you don't, Earth will go, oh no!
UNT is more than 125 years in the making. To find new solutions, we create a new point of view. We know what's possible when creativity, originality, and independent thought converge. We're ranked a Tier 1 research university. We're home to excellence the size of Texas. Define your future at UNT and soar to new heights.
A new store in Denton had a soft opening over the weekend. When Farah and Casey Usea first met, they discovered they had a shared dream to one day own a crystal shop. After nearly 5 years of marriage, their dream has become reality. Stores for business for the first time Thursday. Farah explained how their gift shop shares this passion with the Denton community.
Well, my wife and I decided to open it up together. She also has collected crystals her whole life, and we just, everywhere we travel, we Google metaphysical shops. And every city we go to, we have to visit the local metaphysical shop. Well, when you come to Denton and you Google metaphysical shop, nothing comes up. So we thought we needed to change that.
The couple says the name was inspired by the 1960s sitcom Bewitched, and they hope Denton residents will be just as enchanted when they come in.
It's a good time to be vaccinated. I actually got my first dose recently. Have you been vaccinated, Lexi?
Well, Jalen, I recently signed up to get vaccinated soon. Denton County has reached a big milestone for vaccination numbers. Our segment anchor, Cami Farrell, has more on the story.
That's right, Lexi. As of last week, according to DCPH, Denton County has given 250,000 vaccines, and that number isn't expected to stop increasing anytime soon. Denton has been vaccinating since late December, but in the past month alone, Denton County gave 150,000 vaccines. Upwards of 13,000 vaccines are being administered each day at Texas Motor Speedway. The Denton County waitlist has about 470,000 members, but over 450,000 of them have already been invited to an appointment. Anyone over 16 in Texas qualifies to be vaccinated. Registration for the waitlist can be found at dentoncountygov/COVID-19 vaccine. That's all I have for this week. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Cami. A procession of mummies took place over the weekend in Cairo, Egypt. The event is called Pharaoh's Golden Parade, and it's centered around the movement of 22 mummies from their old resting grounds at the Egyptian Museum in Tahrir Square. The vehicles carrying the mummies were topped with gold and blue decorations along with symbols worn by ancient Egyptian rulers. The mummies were paraded through the streets of Cairo as they moved to the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization. The ceremony aired on TV, and Egyptian officials hope it will attract tourists to the city as they attempt to repair their COVID-shattered economy. Well, this past weekend featured a lot of exciting basketball, and I gotta say, Gonzaga has this title in the bag.
You know, I think I'm going to have to agree with you, Jalen, but we're just going to hold on a little bit and not get ahead of ourselves. So come on back after the break, and we're going to preview the men's national championship game tonight, as well as break down the women's championship that happened yesterday. Stay tuned.
Imagine it's ice cream day at the office. And everyone from the day before voted for their favorite flavor. Everyone but you. You decided not to vote. The flavor they picked isn't the one that you wanted. But can you really complain? Shh! Now imagine that with an elected official.
Choose not to vote, choose not to be heard. Get registered today.
UNT is more than 125 years in the making. To find new solutions, we create a new point of view. We know what's possible when creativity, originality, and independent thought converge. We're ranked a Tier 1 research university. We're home to excellence the size of Texas. Define your future at UNT and soar to new heights.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry, man. Oh, sorry.
Hey, listen to my flow to save some H2O. This my water rhyme, and this is how it goes. First, turn off the sink and take some time to think. When you waste water, our supply shrinks. When you take a shower, not more than an hour. Shoot for 10 minutes and save water power. Use a reusable bottle, smart like Aristotle. Ditch all the plastic and be a role model. And that was my H2O flow. Please remember how it goes, because if you don't, Earth will go, oh no!
For those of you who watched the NCAA Women's National Championship yesterday, you were treated to an instant classic. The Stanford Lady Cardinals won their first basketball national championship in 29 years when they defeated the Arizona Lady Wildcats 54-53. Haley Jones led the Cardinals in scoring with 17 points to go with her 8 rebounds. Arizona outscored the number 1 seed Cardinals 29-23 in the second half when Arion McDonald dropped 22 points, leading the scorers for the game. This was the 3rd national championship title for the Stanford Lady Cardinals. The men will get their chance to cut down the nets tonight as the Gonzaga Bulldogs will take on the Baylor Bears. Gonzaga is a 4.5 point favorite tonight as they try and become just the 8th team since 1939 to win a national championship and go undefeated for the year. The last team to do so was the 1975-76 Indiana Hoosiers team coached by legend Bobby Knight. Standing in their way is the last Texas team still alive, the Baylor Bears. The Bears have gone on an incredible run in March Madness tournament, defeating their opponents by over 15 points a game. Both of these programs are trying to win their first national championships. Gonzaga was runner-up in 2017 and Baylor back in 1948. And for all of you Texas Rangers fans, it's finally time to head to the ballpark, hear the crack of the bat, and eat some hot dogs because the Rangers are finally coming home to play. The Rangers will have their first home game today as they welcome the Toronto Blue Jays to Globe Life Field. After dropping the first 2 games of the year to the Kansas City Royals, the Rangers took the last game of the series with a score of 7-3. The Blue Jays are 2-1 after a good start to their season on the road against the New York Yankees. Steven Matz will be on the field for the Blue Jays, and Mike Foltynewicz will start for the Rangers. First pitch is set for 3:05 p.m. That's all I have for sports. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Jackson. You know, baseball season is one of my favorites.
You know, I'm not much of a baseball guy, but I think I might have to check out a game.
Thanks for watching ntTV News at noon.
Join us again tonight at 6 here on North Texas Television.